Shalom, 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 beloved angelic family and Gentiles. This is Mimsa Yasharel metamorphosing into magnificence through spiritual awakening. I just wanted to bring a little short message to you guys today because there is quite a bit of talk going on about the shifting of the poles, and you know, I just wanted to bring just a little information about it, not based on what the Gentiles are saying, but based on, what I've received regarding this shifting of the poles, or as they say, the pole shift. On the screen, there is a pic of where the North Celestial Pole is and the South Celestial Pole, that invisible axis there. And it's actually showing that the Earth is on a tilt, 23 degrees, 24-degree tilt. So this is what the Gentiles are really saying or really talking about when they're talking about a pole shift. This is part of what they're talking about. They've not revealed the other part of it. They're just sticking to this pole shift thing. Okay, so on this next picture, it's actually showing a picture of the universe, and a part of it, and the constellations of the 12 tribes, the worldly constellations. So, but look how the earth is sitting in the middle. They have it sitting up straight, and the north celestial pole, and the south celestial pole, that invisible axis there, and then the celestial equator. Now, I didn't do this picture. This is online, and Gentiles call this the celestial spear. So, based on what's happening with this shifting of the poles, it looks to me as though the spiritual portion of they've set up the spiritual portion, of what's going on the earth in this celestial spear, because this is a spiritual matter. This is, the war against, the darkness and the light. Okay. So they've shown it here, but they've just not really talked about exactly what it is. So although we don't know really what the Gentiles are discussing, when they're talking this pole shift or shifting of the poles, they're just not really coming out and saying what's going on. The only thing that I've seen, is the promotion of a lot of fear. Go get food, it's going to be cold, we're having a freeze out and blah, 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 all these type of things. But what's actually happening is the pole is shifting from where it was, the wickedness, to the spiritual. And I'm not sure when, the pole shifted, but I think it has a lot to do with the cataclysms in the past that were on the earth. I actually looked for some of the information, and the Gentiles and their dates, is just off the charts. So I didn't use any of it, but there was one, they were saying that the pole shifted 780,000 years ago and all this, and I know that's garbage. And me personally, I believe that it probably shifted 70 AD, when they trodden down Jerusalem, and again in 1492, when the beast came over here. I, I would, oh, and when the Hamashiach, was hanged from that tree, and his ascension occurred. I'm thinking that those are some of the times, because those are spiritual um issues that happen, you know, and the wicked, it was when the wicked was staking their claim to the lands. So for me, I believe personally that that's when, the cataclysms occurred, the wickedness taking over the spiritual lands. Okay. Now we have to remember the principle of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles. Listen, everything is dual. Everything has poles. This includes these bodies that we're in. They have poles. So when they're talking about the shifting of the earth, this celestial spiritual poles, they're also talking about a shifting of the poles in the microcosm. See, all of this as above, so below. All of this works hand in hand. So they're talking about the earth, having this pole shift, but in actuality, it's not just a shifting of the earth, it's a shifting of the spiritual, the celestial beings on the earth and those and the earth seeds as well. So there is going to be a shift one way or another throughout the earth. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. So there's a lot going on that, we're not necessarily tuned into. On this next slide is information from a book called Energy, Matter, and Form. Okay, I want to read this to you because it has a lot to do, with the Gentiles in Psalms 83 nations, talking about, coming, they're instituting this new world order. They already had their new world order, and that's been said multiple times, but people don't really believe that or understand exactly or understand exactly what occurred. So the United States Treasury says that the eye depicted in the capstone of the pyramid represents the eternal eye of God, but this interpretation is incomplete. Actually, it is a symbol for what lies behind all living eyes and all loving action. It represents that radiating light of consciousness which has become single and one. As Christ said, make thine eye single, and thy whole body will be filled with light. He was referring to the light of consciousness symbolized in the Great Seal of the United States of America, which also contains Latin inscriptions which point the way to our destiny. I'm thinking that, this is when they did their constitution. They first came over here, the Gentiles, and, were getting settled in the land. The inscription over the capstone is a Nuit Coeptis, which means God favors our undertaking. They really believe, that what they did when they came here, all the murderous acts and everything, that, their God, favored their undertaking. And I suppose, it did, their beings did. Americans must ask, what is our undertaking? This is revealed by the inscription written under the pyramid, Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new order of the ages. There you go. This was their new world order. They've had their new world order. That's come and gone. This is the end, and they know it. America is the focal point for the new age that is dawning, and, and more of us. We carry on that revolutionary spirit of individual freedom of our forefathers, which is the very foundation of America. One thing I've noticed about Gentiles in the Psalms 83 nations, they love to glamorize things, fill it with all of this emotional garbage. And this is a part of that, their forefathers. Really? It's now being proved that Abraham Lincoln was copper color. Come on now. It is this spirit of freedom and revolution living in each of us that is the real America. Not the material trappings of flags, warships, or armies, nor the vain power trips of our leaders. It is up to us to be our own leader, to find peace and freedom within ourselves if we are to give freedom to others and to the world. Only when we realize that it is the light of consciousness streaming out of our eyes that is the real key to our conscious evolution will we find our way back to the one, that divine, central source of all peace and all freedom. Now, I don't know. I mean, that sounds really good and it's really on point, but it's not about them. They never had the divine. Christopher Cologne was used for a purpose and he served that purpose. Now, this book was copyrighted in 1977. So, all of this information the Gentiles in the Psalms 83 nations have had in this book, again, is titled Energy, Matter, and Form. Why would you find something like this, like that in this book? But I did. Now, on this next slide, it's going to talk a little bit about the seventh ray, and I haven't really gone into the seventh ray yet, but I will. This is the ray of ceremonial order and magic. See, the Gentiles have known that magic was going to come upon the earth. They knew that. They've been going behind closed doors and they've been using this dark wickedness, but they know that magic has to do with the ley lines being activated again, and the ley lines in the body, the ley lines in the earth and the ley lines in the body. They know that those are going to be activated again, and this is what they really call magic. Okay, but you have to have a certain body for this to happen. Okay, so I'm going to be reading from Stones of the Seven Rays, the science of the seven facets of the soul. The force of the seventh ray will initially manifest through a highly significant phenomenon, the reversal of the magnetic poles. Let me read that for you again, because people keep thinking that the Gentiles in the Psalms 83 nations don't know what's going on. They know. The force of the seventh ray will initially manifest through a highly significant phenomenon, the reversal of the magnetic poles. This upheaval will cause large-scale earthquakes, and all of humanity will have to face the prospect of widespread nuclear contamination. So all of these nuclear plants blowing up and all of these things that are happening, they've known. They have our books, so they know all of this stuff. I was actually looking for something in the War Scrolls where it talks about the children of darkness against the children of light, and found out that the War Scroll was written before, and then it was changed by the University of Jerusalem, so by Ish. So those records, perverted. There was a lot of things that was left out of the War Scrolls, and once I realized, that there was another edition put out by Ish, then the clarity came through. The information was removed, and then a part of the end of the War Scrolls that tell how the children of light win, that was removed. All of the beginning was there, but all of the ending was removed. So they have the information. They know what's going on. I mean, this is not, people keep thinking that, these people are clueless, and you got to, feel sorry for them. We're all in this together and all this nonsense. No, no, they know exactly what's going on. They have the records. It was clearly stated at the end of the War Scrolls saying that the information was destroyed. No, it wasn't. Once Ish got their hands on it, it wasn't going to ever be released the way that they received it. That was never going to happen. It wasn't destroyed. No. All of the beginning was there, but the ending was completely destroyed. Make that make sense to me. In Eastern Europe alone, 16 out of 60 nuclear power stations have structures similar to that of Chernobyl, if not worse. On the other hand, the hundreds of nuclear tests performed by the Americans, Russians, and French have torn the etheric fabric of the planet, generating effects ranging from seismic shocks to widespread illnesses typically caused by radioactivity, such as cancer. But then they want to put it out there, you know, what's that thing that they say all the time? Ah, what is that saying? Global warming. Everything is caused by global warming. The lies you tell. No, no, that's not it at all. August 1945 saw humanity enter the nuclear age with the deployment of a first ray weapon, okay? The atomic bomb, which proved to be the sole means of freeing ourselves from the dark forces of fascism that have fully incarnated in Germany and partially in Italy and Japan. This, despite the sacrifice of millions of innocent souls, okay, what needed to be destroyed was allowing humanity to become free of certain restrictions, allowing for the possibility of expanded consciousness. Now, this was back in 1945, you say, certain effects of which are now visible through what is generally called globalization. At this time, and this is not yet conscious knowledge, the first ray planet, Pluto, is beginning to become active. Remember that through this planet's energy and influence, disciples throughout the world will be put to the test. Pluto, but really they called it Vulcan. This is the planet Vulcan that they're talking about. Pluto, this is the esoteric name of that planet, is Vulcan. Pluto permits the dissolution of old thought forms embodying worn out ideas and ideals. Okay? The influence of Pisces must depart and make way for the age of Aquarius. See, they knew all this stuff. They've known this. This has been common knowledge for those so-called elite people. Because the seventh ray is now active, great upheavals should be expected, such as global warming, there you go, and changes in the ozone layer. The Gentiles never fail with that global warming stuff. So this is information, that they've known for a long time and they've had our records. So they know exactly what's about to transpire. So Gentiles have put out several maps showing safe zones and how America was going to be completely destroyed, and people better run, and these safe zones are in this country and that country and blah blah blah, all lies, all lies. And they've been trying to run us out of our lands. But this is what they know and have understood all along that our people didn't know. And Big Judah did a video about this. So if you haven't seen that video, you should probably try to find that video because it talks about this. This is from Doctrines and Covenants 133:21. And he shall utter his voice out of Zion, and he shall speak from Jerusalem, and his voice shall be heard among all people. His voice shall be heard among all people. 22. And it shall be a voice as a voice of many waters, and as a voice of great thunder, which shall break down the mountains, and the valleys shall not be found. He shall command the great deep, and it shall be driven back into the north countries, and the islands shall become one land. This is how they were before. All of the lands are going to go back the way that they were. So the Gentiles and the Psalms 83 nations have worked diligently to try to get us off of our lands over to Africa and all this kind of nonsense because they knew that the lands here, the lands in the north, North America, South America, the so-called Turtle Island, our Turtle Island, all of these lands are going to come together again. They're going to come back together. And Gentiles know that. And the land of Jerusalem and the land of Zion shall be turned back into their own place, and the earth shall be like it was in the days before it was divided. Meaning, as Big Levi, the beloved brother, has been saying, has said time and time again, that Atlantis will rise again. These lands are going to go back to the way that they were. There's going to be more land in the land of here, around here, where they keep talking about all these divisions in Florida going underwater and all of these places going underwater. Complete lies. It was all to invoke fear in our people. Gentiles know exactly what's getting ready to happen. They know. The Psalms 83 nations, they know, but they have to keep pushing this fear. Everything is fear, fear, fear. And this is what has been a hindrance to our people because they've always kept us in the first sphere, the first chakra, down, fear and trying to, make ends meet. This is where our people have been, where they've tried to keep us. But this pole shifter, shifting of the poles, is coming on the earth, and it's coming to the earth seeds and it's coming to the star seeds because our bodies have ley lines and we have poles, right side, left side. Okay. So it's not just going to happen, a shifting, and all of these cataclysms are going to happen. There's a whole lot more than that to it. I was outside Sunday and the solar wind was crazy. I've been out there, outside, and I've, seen the solar winds before, but it was nothing like what I saw Sunday. I was out one day and it looked like the palm of my hand was purple or violet. I'll have to post a copy of that picture, but it was so bad. The plasma on the earth yesterday, the only thing I thought was that those people are in their bunkers because they can't handle what's on the earth right now because it's plasma and the solar winds, the particles, all of this is too much for them. They're not going to, their bodies can't handle what's going on. And it made me think of the scripture in Revelation 6:13. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree cast her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll, a book, when it is rolled together. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Who shall be able to stand? That is the question. Because with these solar winds, all of this plasma, the particles, everything that's going on, because a lot of people don't know that this plasma is, it's in the earth. It is in the earth. I was standing there and I was engulfed in these solar winds. So it is here on the earth, and it is affecting a lot of people, and all of these people that are, you know, dropping like flies, it's because the frequency on this earth, they cannot handle it. You must be able to balance. You have to find that balance. balance the right side and the left side, the polarity. It's all dual and it has to meet in the center, and there must be balance. If you guys haven't figured out yet, I love the Emerald Tablets of Thought, the Atlantean. I really do. It's such a good read. And if I don't read, I just listen to it. So I'm going to close with something from the Emerald Tablets of Thought. Know ye, O man, that thy form is dual. Okay? Your body, your form is dual. The duality, the polarity. As above, so below. We must remember this. Balanced in polarity while formed in its form. Know that when fast on thee death approaches, it is only because thy balance is shaken. It is only because one pole has been lost. Okay? There must be balance. That the mind, the the battlefield of the mind, that is destructive. And it's the reason that we have to reach down and we must do shadow work. I'm still doing shadow work on things that I realize that still, kind of bother me, but it's not something that you do and bam, it's over. It's an ongoing process. So we have to do the shadow work to make sure that we are balanced. Know that the secret of life in a Mente is the secret of restoring the balance of poles. This is what's getting ready to happen. The poles are getting ready to balance. This shifting of the poles is about balancing the poles, because the spiritual, the celestial beings, the spirituality is upon the earth again. So this is all about balancing the poles, not just upon the earth, in the cosmos, but in your bodies as well. See ye not that in earth's heart is the balance of all things that exist and have being on its face? The source of thy spirit is drawn from earth's heart, for in thy form thou art one with the earth. You have to be one with nature. You have to be one with the earth, not destroying the earth. And this is what the Gentiles and the Psalms 83 nations took us away from. They took us away from the oneness with nature, with the earth. Our people didn't destroy the earth. We weren't out digging up and drilling for oil and all of these, artifacts, stealing from people's graves and all these things like that to put it in museums to make money. That wasn't us. That's these people. So they never had a connection with the earth, but we did. I remember that. I remember, and I miss this. I remember what it smelled like when it rained after rain. That smell is gone. It hasn't been on the earth for a while. I used to remember what it smelled like, the fresh cutting of grass. These are things I remembered growing up, and they're no longer there. The earth has been destroyed. When thou hast learned to hold thine own balance, then shalt thou draw on the balance of earth. Exist, then shalt thou while earth is existing, changing in form only when earth too shall change. Okay? Changing in form. Your form is going to change only when earth too shall change. All right? This shifting of the poles. Tasting not of death, but one with this planet, holding thy form till all pass away. Okay? So we must change with the earth. We must become one again with kind, with the earth, with nature. All praises to the mighty one. Much love to the divine earthly mother. Peace and grace upon our beloved brother, the Hamashiach. Shalom, 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 angelic beings and Gentiles.